Now our very own Jayant Tok sir would take us through a small presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. What I'm going to do is, we are going to run through a presentation, because when we are talking of a leadership which will be sustainable and inclusive, I believe that this kind of leadership should ultimately lead to what we call an inclusive growth. Because ultimately we want leaders not only for themselves, we want leaders to help us also. I mean, while they lead us, we should also move to a higher level of performance and existence, as well as quality of life, as we call it. So what I'll basically go through is, as usual, basic concepts. And then I'll also like to focus on what we today call what is known as two Indias. We always talk of what is known as India and Bharat. So we'll try to see whether there could be certain things which are dividing India and Bharat, and what can be done to bring these two together, because that is what the leadership should be expected to do, or is expected to do. And then of course we'll conclude with what attributes I personally perceive for a sustainable and inclusive leader to have. Because it's not only that you are the leader, but you must also be able to take people along with. And as we were discussing in the morning, what we say is the worst leader is one whom people are afraid of. And the best leader is one, when the things are done, people say it ourselves. We have done it ourselves. And that reminds me of a classic event. All of us have heard of Mount Everest. All of us know who are the first people to go and step the human imprint on the Mount Everest. We know the name of Sherpa Tenzing. We also know the name of Edmund Hillary. But unfortunately, we really don't know who was the leader of that particular campaign, which actually resulted in the success of the team, which enabled the human beings to conquer Everest. Any guesses? Who was the leader of the team that conquered Mount Everest? There was a leader, let me tell you that. And there was a team. The team actually consisted of Edmund Hillary and John Hunt, both of whom became Sir John Hunt and Sir Edmund Hillary. But John Hunt has written a very beautiful autobiography. It's not part of MBA syllabus, so you must not have gone through that. But then he has written a beautiful autobiography where he said that particular night, when we were almost there and we were to put our human imprint on the Mount Everest, I was worried, because as a leader, it was my job to ensure that our team achieves the goal. I could have, of course, taken the plunge, but if something had happened, then maybe perhaps the second in command might not have been able to stand for me, and therefore I decided to stay back. I realized that there was name and fame to become the first person to put foot on Everest, but then he preferred otherwise. Rest, of course, is history. Unfortunately, even John Hunt became history, because not many people are aware of it. What for me leadership stands is that you get the things done, you have that level of ambition, you actually create aspiration level also, but you also, at the end of it, you also have humility, where you always underplay yourself by facilitating the growth. So I'll be speaking from this particular perception. Are you with me? Now let us quickly go through this. Inclusive growth is, again, definition. Being a student of economics, I think this thing comes probably natural. Okay, now, typical growth is that improves the access of the poor to expanding economic opportunities and reduces inequality. For me, a telecom revolution is a classic example of inclusive growth, where practically everybody across the country has not only access, but also has the power to utilize that kind of services. Earlier, was telephone a luxury? And I was really happy, because I think this is some other thing that I have been sharing with you, that for a telephone, we had to wait for 5 to 7 years. The telephone will be installed and there's no guarantee it will become operational. When you relate that with what was said earlier, scooters, booking, everything booking. So, it was only a privileged few who were having access to these kind of services, products also. Now, therefore, what is important is it should improve access of the poor, the weaker sections as we call it, or vulnerable sections, to economic opportunity and should reduce inequality. Please also appreciate that I am not saying that everybody must be equal. You cannot be. But there has to be a certain degree of equitability, and that's what I mean by inclusive growth. So it should not happen, like in economics we have a concept known as dualism. So as you know, in Bombay we got somebody who got a house, and the house itself cost something like 2,950 crores, and is supposed to be the costliest house in the world. While there are people who are staying in the Jhopatpatti in Bombay, no, this is growth, but it is skewed growth for me. I mean, quite a few, even today in India, we have aviation sector, yes. But even today, 99% more than that, people always look at the aircraft at something above the sky. But there are people in India who are willing to give aircraft also as a gift to a wife on her birthday. That's what happens. This is something which for me is not part of growth, yes. But it is not really inclusive growth. So let us move further. So there are, again, basic business point of view. Poverty reduction, there are 5 related areas. One is poverty reduction and increase in quantity and quality of employment. Quantity, one part, quality is another part of it. Then agriculture development, social sector development, reduction in regional disparities, and of course, protecting the, when we say regional disparities, Maharashtra is one. We say Maharashtra is developed state, but take away Bombay, what is GDP, what is per capita income in Maharashtra? Take away Western Maharashtra, then what is the per capita income? Just look at it. So what happens, you got pockets. And it reminds me of a famous quote of late President John F. Kennedy. Why we need inclusive growth is, poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. And therefore, we cannot afford to have pockets of or islands of prosperity covered by ocean of poverty, and therefore we need to have inclusive growth where the people will have stake. Now, typically, what happens is, okay, we'll skip this. Now look at this. Therefore, as of now, in India, just check up whether we have got 2 Indias. One India, as we said, is staying at the leash, typical nightlife, as you call it, eager to spring forth and live up to all the adjectives that the world has been recently showering upon us. Are we superpower? I mean, we are not, but people expect you to be among the, we are already among the top 3 economic powers in the world. We are. Are we the biggest market? Certain products, yes, we are. We are, one of the leading emerging market, as you call it. So, we are getting all those, adjectives. But there is other India also, where we call it on the leash. Where, for us going anywhere is not a problem because road is not, we don't think that road is a problem. But there are places which are not connected by roads also. And because I come from Mofussil area, I know what it's like to have roads and not to have roads. As you said, the other India is on the leash. One India says, give me a chance and I will prove myself. The other India says, prove your self-interest, self first, and maybe then you will have a chance. So that, typical favoritism or wiser than you or bigger than you attitude is another thing. Don't look at the photograph, look at the content part of it. One India lives in the optimism of our hearts. Most of us are part of this, by the way. The other India lurks in the skepticism of whether, something is going to happen or not. Like there's an old movie, because a lot of things were said, so it just reminds me. There's an old movie known as Mujhe Jeene Do. And there, the mother is singing a song to the child, typical lullaby kind of thing. And what she sings there is very interesting from the HDI point of view, if I may use it. What she says is, मेरे बच्चे, तेरे बचपन को जवानी की दुआ देती हूँ, पर दुआ देके परेशान सी हो जाती हूँ, because I really don't know whether you are going to become a jawan or not. Because in India again, you'll find there's something known as, because in India, the rate of kids who die before the age of 5 is one of the highest. Now that's what I mean by, there are in areas like urban areas like Pune or metro areas, you got one building, you have got n number of super specialties. But there are places where you don't have the basic primary health facilities also. That's the kind of exclusion that I'm talking about. One India, us again, demands and wants. The other India prays and hopes and is always at the mercy of people who hope to be, beholden kind of thing. I know. I also love the right part of it, but then I am focusing on one India leads, the other India follows. This is where the exclusion comes. Because, we always believe that there's some people who are more equal than others. So, one India leads, the other India follows. These conversations are on the rise with each passing day. More and more people from the other India are coming over to this side because each one of us has that aspiration level and we want to move higher in life. But for that, we must have a leadership which is sustainable and inclusive, which in turn will lead to inclusive growth from the economic point of view. And quietly, while the world is not looking, a pulsating, dynamic India is emerging. And I'm really happy to be part of this beautiful times because we have all seen, no cars, lot of cars, no phones. Everybody has not one phone but two phones. Lot of things are not there, lot of things are there. For people like us, even today, grapes and apples was something which was a luxury. You will not believe it today. A refrigerator was a luxury, TV was a luxury, but today you will find that, as I say, in the old times, when first Ramayana happened, the maid servant will come early, finish the work early, and along with her kid sit in the door frame and watch the Ramayana with the family. The second round of Ramayana, when it came, the maid servant had her own TV, and not only black and white, color TV. In fact, now she asks for a holiday on Sunday because she has to watch some programs. Now, for me, you may not like it. In fact, you hate it. The moment your maid servant asks for a leave, you don't like it. If you are not given the leave, what happens? That's what I talk of inclusive growth. So you must be able to think of others the way you like to think of yourself. So while the world is not looking, a pulsating, dynamic India is emerging. An India whose faith in success is far greater than its fear of failure. Earlier, a lot of things will not do because suppose if I fail, what happens? Today, we are willing to take a risk. In fact, I always appreciate MBS because this is the first lot of educated Indians which have started giving preference to a private sector job rather than a public sector undertaking, because in private sector, like it or not, your job is assured only for 3 months. Before that also you can say bye-bye. There's a beautiful word known as pink slip. And that pink color has nothing to do with the computer or some other feeling that we have. But typically, there's a kind of risk that we are willing to take, and that is where the fear of failure is slowly getting minimized, if not eliminated, and we are moving. And India, that is no longer boycott foreign goods, but buys out the companies that makes them instant. That's the kind of attitude that we want. Why should we only be at the receiving end? Why should we be crazy that, okay, made in USA? In fact, there used to be something made at USA also. I don't know if you're aware. Ulhasnagar Sindhe Associates, that was the kind of thing, okay. And people used to buy because they used to read at USA, not at. English was a weak area. We never, at and in is different. Okay? Made in USA is different, at. People used to buy it because you're crazy kind of. Today, what we are doing is, you go abroad, you will find that even the shoe shining polish that you get is made in India. And people use it, not because it's India, but because it's a good performance kind of thing. We have become, effectively a superpower in IT because we deliver. And as I always say, not at a cheap cost, but in a cost competitive manner. Then are we part of the people who have broken the glass ceiling globally? Today, India has to be there as part of the World Economic Forum at Davos. So for economy as a whole, I consider that to be part of inclusive growth rather than just the elite, what you call G6 or G7 kind of thing. So that's what I'm talking of, inclusive growth. Then, but buys out the companies that makes them instead. Tata Chorus is one example. History, they say, is a bad motorist. And I'm talking history, I'm not talking of ladies, with due regards and apologies. History, they say, is a bad motorist. It rarely ever signals its intentions. Probably, history has taken a lot of things from Pune. Because if you are driving in Pune, you have to drive like this. A lot of unexpected things. Like this, you say coffee day, and a lot of things can happen over coffee. In Pune, a lot of things can happen over driving. So, history, they say, is a bad motorist. It rarely ever signals its intentions when it's taking a turn. This is that rarely ever moment, what we are living in. This is that rarely ever moment when history is turning a page and we are privileged to be part of that historical moment. For over half a century, our nation has sprung, stumbled, run, fallen, rolled over, got up, and dusted ourselves and cantered, sometimes lurched on. But now, as we are moving further, the ride has brought us to the age of time's great abyss. And what we are now witnessing is, there are two Indias, and that's why there's a need for, there should not be a divide, but there should be the synthesis kind of thing. Otherwise, there will be thesis, antithesis, and then the kind of synthesis we'll have subsequently could be more dangerous. And therefore, and one India, a tiny little voice at the back of the head, is looking down at the bottom of the ravine and hesitating. Now, what the job of the sustainable and inclusive leadership, my perception is that to get those people who are hesitating, who are on the border, to move over to the upper segment kind of thing. So, and we see how long are we going to talk of CK Prahlad and profit from the bottom of the pyramid? Why can't we move from the bottom of pyramid to the higher levels? That's what inclusive growth and inclusive leadership should ensure. The other India is looking up at the sky and saying it is time to fly, and the inclusive and sustainable leadership should enable us precisely to take off. If I may, and take off again is a typical economic theory given by an economist known as Rostov. Take off means what? You need maximum thrust because that is the time you are breaking the pull and then you are moving to the sky. So the other India is looking up at the sky and saying it is time to fly, and it will be the job of the inclusive and sustainable leadership to ensure that people are not only saying it is time to fly, they actually fly. So rather than just looking at the airplane from Earth, you should be part of that 120 or 350 people who are traveling there and look down that this is where I come from. I mean, I just dream, maybe. And therefore, what we must do is, from the leadership point of view, we must change. What I say is, we must not move to this, we must move from here to here. We must not move backwards, because change, can be temporary. It happens to most of us when the exam comes. Suddenly you become very studious. It happens, but then what we want is, it has to be extra inputs. Agreed. Okay, and therefore now what we want is, we want the leadership to move from development. We have enough talk of development. If you go through all the 5-year plans, you can get more than PhDs on what economic development is about. But after 12th, currently we are in the 12th, after 11th 5-year plan, have we talked of economic development? Have we talked of poverty? Have we talked of removing poverty? But even today, do we have people who are poor? Do we still have, arguments and discussions and very aggressive statements about who is poor? Unfortunately, the fact that you are talking of poverty means the poverty has still not been removed. That means there are still sections or economic society which is totally divided into the haves and the haves not, if I may put it. So, the idea is that we move from growth, which is only development oriented, to well-being, then inclusive wealth, then inclusive investment and inclusive growth. What I mean by inclusive investment is, in India, for example, statistics shows that Maharashtra and Gujarat are two states where you get almost 60% of the FDI. And within these two states again, there are 6 districts in both the states which have capitalized the FDI coming in. So what happens to other places? Are they starved of investment? Are they getting the infrastructure? If you go to Bombay, Pune infrastructure is bad. But you go to Satara, not because Anil is sitting here, but you go to Satara and further Bamnoli. If you go to Bamnoli, driving there is only one vehicle can go at one time. The problem is, we don't have basic infrastructure. We don't have roads also at point of time. In fact, rainy season, even, believe me, in Pune district, there are certain parts known as Vella and other areas. I don't know if you heard of those. But there are areas like Vellas which are cut off during monsoon because there is no connectivity. You don't have even boats which are functioning during the monsoon now. Pune, as we heard in the morning, is a 22,000 crore exports happening in Pune. But just hardly within 50 kilometers periphery of Pune, we got a place which gets cut off in monsoon. That's what I mean by exclusive growth, and that's why we need inclusive growth. I hope you agree with me. Fine. So that's why we need inclusive growth. Then of course, we also need sustainable is long term. It's not fly by night. So we need a long term growth basically. Now, typical, old times, that attitude that had come down to us was, just look at it. Now the typical attitude was, it was poverty alleviation, not removal. So the typical attitude was the poor are getting poorer, but with the rich getting richer, it all averages out in the long run. Statistics is a very dangerous thing. Statistics, you can put the same thing in a totally different perspective. So typical attitude was earlier. Now we are moving to, before the inclusive growth concept was introduced by what you call the Washington and then the Bombay. Bombay also is part of this resolution. And then World Bank and IMF, of course. So the poor are getting poorer, but with the rich getting richer, it all averages out in the long run, which is the old perspective. We want to remove this. Then there is another perception. Check. Just look at it. What is happening here? You are doling out. You have so much deep pockets, as you call it, and what you are doing is doling out. And then what people used to say is, just look at this. What is this? Don't say it never. I'm sure you must have heard of trickle down effect. Trickle down is what? You have sprinklers, na? Drip irrigation? No, agriculture, you don't know. Okay, what is trickle down? But has it really trickled down, or have you created pockets? See, we have given a lot of funding happens, but people are on record of having said that 85% of the development assistance or money that is spent by the government doesn't reach the beneficiary. That means what? Where does the 85% go? Technically it goes for development and growth, right? But who grows? It's like, what you call George Orwell, some people are more equal than others. That's what has happened. So, old culture was, again, don't say, so it's typical righteousness kind of thing. We are doing you a favor by doing something for you. A sustainable and inclusive leader must not think that you are doing a favor. Those days of doing favors are gone. Fortunately now, as we saw earlier, you must have seen the banking. Customer is now what? Partner ultimately, but he is very demanding. And in fact, today customer is not only demanding, but he is also aggressive. He is not only assertive, he is aggressive. And today, the moment you are talking of something to be done by the government, it is not to be done by gratis. Or it is not something to be done that is 6 months before the elections. Earlier, the whole concept of development and growth and everything was just 6 months before, because there are great leaders who say that people's memory is short. They don't remember a lot of things. You wash your hands and everything becomes fair and white. You know what I'm referring to. So, this theory is not acceptable. Therefore, we want leaders who are long-term, who are not fly-by-night operators. We look towards not only future, but beyond future, and will be committed to it. This is something that we don't want to see if we really have to be an economic power. Enhancing quality of life, and not only in terms of money, please appreciate that. When I say growth, growth has an economic connotation. And being a student of economics, I appreciate that there is value for money, no doubt. But apart from price, should there be something like value? Is price important or value important? Today you talk of moving up the value chain. You don't talk of moving up the price chain. You talk of value add. Again, my friend is here, so you talk of ROI, you talk of EVA. And the EVA, because it's not only about the financial money term that we are talking about, we talk about value add kind of thing. If we talk inclusive growth, it is not only about saying that, okay, so many billions of dollars or billions of rupees have been spent, and the figures are so long, you probably can't write it down on paper also. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do it? Are you going to get benefit, or is it only for some people? So, what we want is, we want the inclusive growth, not only from the financial point of view, we also want it to develop what is known as the quality of life, as you call it. Like in working, typical MBAs, they always demand what is known as quality of work life. So should there not be quality of life for the people operating at existing at the lower level? And we want them to have dignity, empowerment, and of course, gender balance. This is another area which is very critical from the Indian context.